Hey, everybody out in Maryland's beautiful 8th Congressional District. It's Congressman Jamie Raskin coming to you for my favorite time of the week. It's Friday, March 22nd. It's time for Local Hero when we get to enjoy and celebrate the people who make the 8th Congressional District such a magical and unique place. And who better to celebrate in toast this week than my friend David Schulman, who is a Takoma Park composer, violinist, audio producer, NPR contributor, and bird watcher. But above all, he created Bird Calls, which in his own words, hotwires a derelict public payphone for ornithological purposes. The original Bird Calls phone originated as a public art project in the city of Takoma Park. It features source audio from the Cornell Lab of Ornithology and voice talent from the likes of NPR's Felix Contreras and Marika Partridge. Takoma Park neighbors and visitors can press any button on the payphone, and then you will hear local birds like the wood duck, the American crow, the night heron, the mockingbird, the belted kingfisher, the wood thrush, which is Washington, D.C.'s official bird, and locally sourced rooster for free, no quarters required. The Bird Calls phone has been chirping since 2016, and David relays that quite a few places, including schools, park systems, nature centers, bird and retro phone enthusiasts, have all expressed interest in putting up their own Bird Calls phones in their own communities. But right now, the Takoma Park phone in the 8th Congressional District remains one of a kind in the world today. Outside of the payphone ornithological retrofitting, David's radio and podcast work includes creating NPR's Musicians in Their Own Words series and making several music documentaries for Australia's public broadcasting. These include Nobody Swung Harder, the jazz violin of Stuff Smith, and Alone with J.S. Bach, a documentary from the first years of the pandemic awarded special mention at the Prix Italia. He's also taught the college podcasting course at Georgetown since 2019. As a violinist and a composer, David has performed solo art into music improv series at the Hirshhorn and the Phillips. He's performed many years at the DC Jazz Festival and other locations. He's recorded 4 albums of original music, and he's performed a weekly virtual house concert for the first 3 years of the pandemic. And so for all of these reasons, David, and also for memorializing our friend, the rooster, who I used to see stalking his way around Takoma Park a couple of decades ago. You are our local hero for this week of March.
Oh, well, thank you so much. It's such a thrill to be in the same virtual space with you and also with an actual witness to Rosco, because I got to Takoma Park after the Rosco era ended, so I only got to experience it secondhand.
If you woke up early and you went for a run or something, you would undoubtedly see Rosco kind of strutting across the street on Maple Avenue, or it'd be on Eastern or something.
So Rosco was running around town, and they were really trying to catch it, like because Rosco was not really allowed.
It's Takoma Park. I don't know how hard they were trying to catch him, but he was quite the beloved and revered animal figure in our town. But look, everybody wants to hear about the bird phone. So tell us first of all, like, how this whole thing started.
Well, it started. I think Takoma Park was doing a call for public art, and they were focusing on this one little piece of land that was just, frankly, a little bit neglected. And I was looking at pictures of it, and I realized it had an old armature to hold an old payphone. And I don't know, something clicked. I'd done some other projects with some audio of animals from the Cornell Ornithology Lab, and I was looking at this phone thing, and it just seemed like it would be great to put the bird songs in there, and have people be able to come up to this thing and hear the sounds of the local birds.
So in addition to your skills as a violinist and a radio producer and a composer and all that stuff, did you actually design the technology to make this work?
No, I can't claim that. So there's a really great like I guess I call him an electrical engineer, but he's really an artist, a guy named Brendan Hall, who does all kinds of installations and so forth. And basically, I worked with him once. Like I'm an audio producer, so I worked with the sound. I recorded the voices. But then when I had the sound ready, I took it to Brendan and we found an old payphone which was in good shape as opposed to the one on the which was out there, which was frankly trashed. We found a good payphone on eBay. I did, and we shipped it here. And then I met with Brendan, and he put the chip with the audio in there and figured out how to wire things so that you press two and you hear the pileated woodpecker, etc.
So, I mean, do you have to explain to kids what a payphone is? I mean, they might think that it's invented just for these purposes or something. They don't even know what a house phone is.
That would be an alternate universe that would be of some interest. But I think it's interesting when kids come up to it because I think it just taps into just curiosity, whether you know how to deal with it or not. I mean, there's something like, I don't know, I've just got another phone here, which is not a full-size phone, but if you'd have never seen this before, as a human, you're going to pick it up and you're probably going to put it to your head and knock it into your headphones and then something's going to happen. And the phone's designed so that the instant you pick it up, you hear the dial tone.
Are most people encountering the birdsong phone by accident, or are they just lining up now around the block? I know it started to be world famous and people are reporting on it and everything.
I don't think there's a line most days, to be honest. I think, but there's like I know that from talking to the people who work and the owner of the restaurant that's nearby, he sees how people behave.
Yeah.
And there's a kindergarten class that apparently pretty regularly they troop over there after lunch or something. And so I love that.
Does anybody ever go in like with a quarter trying to make a phone call?
Well, there's a reason why the handset is bright yellow.
I see. When I go there, and I'm going to go there soon, do I actually need to put a quarter in, or is it totally?
No. We put a screw in there so that you can't put a quarter in.
I see.
Because what happened? The yellow handset is there because the original handset was broken by somebody who tried to make a normal call, a human call, and they got really upset and smashed the old handset. This was witnessed by somebody in the restaurant. And so we had to find another handset on eBay, but that's the only downtime that it's had in like 7 years. So I feel pretty.
But by the way, tell us what the restaurant is, because people might want to make the day of it. And
Yeah. No, it's a great place. It's Mansakunda. It's a West African cuisine. Great place.
Awesome. Now, but I want to ask you to play us a few of the bird songs before we go. But tell us generally about how avid a bird watcher you are. Do you belong to any of the local groups, and where do you usually go to do your bird watching?
Oh, I should say, maybe I should say I'm a bird lover more than because I'm not a serious organized bird watcher who keeps a list or who goes out with local clubs. I have friends who do that, and it's and I love that, but I'm not that organized. I'm mostly, when we go out for hikes and so forth, we have binoculars that actually, when my spouse and I got married, she gave me a pair of binoculars as our wedding token. So it does go pretty deep with us, but wow. I'm not a very
Do you have those binoculars there?
I have them in the next room. What I have with me, actually, the closer binoculars, I realized, is this pair I have in here, which were my grandfather's old Leicas, but they're not as good as the ones I have for my wedding.
All right, well, tell us what we're going to hear when we make our way to the phone, when we make the pilgrimage, and do they always appear in the same order?
Yeah. So if you every time you press one, you hear the same bird, or every time you pick up the handset, you hear a dial tone, which is a mourning dove. You pick up the handset, and the mourning dove goes woo, 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 and then Marika Partridge comes on and says, in case you need the prompt, she says, "That's a mourning dove. This is your dial tone. It's a mourning dove. To hear the sounds of another local bird, press any key." So then something like this might happen. Let's see. Okay. So let's see. What button do you want to press?
I would
Congressman?
go with 2 or 7.
2 or 7. All right. Let's try 2.
You can hear them cry out as they swoop from tree to tree in Takoma Park.
Oh, it's a pileated woodpecker. Let me play the 7 for you, though. That's a great one.
A pair of belted kingfishers. They often cry out in flight, then perch on a branch over a riverbank. It can look like they're posing. The kingfisher has a big crest, a powerful bill, and bold stripes. And from 30 feet up, they'll plunge into the water to spear fish. Recorded by Jeffrey Keller and provided to bird calls by the Macaulay Library at the Cornell Lab of Ornithology.
What about Roscoe's descendants?
Oh, Rosco. Oh, so when we did this phone, that's the one that we had like a local contest on the local low power FM station that Marika Partridge actually started. So we put out a call for recordings of local roosters. And we heard from a family, and I think there was a student there who was about 11, and her family kept chickens, and somehow a rooster had occurred. And so early one morning, I think it was even the first day of school, her name was Sienna Cimino, and she recorded the rooster that was in her backyard. You want to hear this one in honor of
Yes,
Rosco?
please.
Okay, so I'm gonna play. Here's 5, the rooster.
You know the story, right? Once in Takoma Park, there lived a rooster named Rosco. He was an urban outlaw. Officers gave chase, but they couldn't catch the rooster. Rosco became a local hero, inspiring later generations of urban chickens here in Takoma Park. These clucking chickens and a big rooster named St. Charles were raised and recorded by Sienna Cimino of Takoma Park.
Well, that is so awesome, David. That's amazing. And if anybody wants to hear not just the bird calls, but if they want to hear you playing violin, what's their best bet?
So that's tricky because I'm kind of like in some hibernation right now that way, but I'm playing a lot. I did do a weekly series on Instagram throughout most of the pandemic, for 3 years of it at least. And that's on my handle, I guess, on that channel is Quiet Life Motel. And there's still recordings of that up there, which are just live weekly things. And I also I'm going to play a house concert in Takoma Park on Boyd Avenue at the end of April. But actually, this is the first time I've said anything about it in the wider world. So there'll be more on my website for music, which is quietlifemotel.com.
Quietlifemotel.com. All right. Well,
yeah.
Look, David, you're our local hero, man. Keep flying high and keep singing your song. All right. And we're very proud of you.
Well, thank you for the invitation, and thanks for all that you do. It's really, I just thank you.
All right, that's David Schulman, our local hero. Have a great week, everybody.